Hello traders and welcome to today's market update. My name is Nick and I'm going to be running through some of the major currency pairs with you here as we get started. So what I've got here pulled up on the screen is most of the major currency pairs as well as some other ones that I've got interesting for you guys. So stay tuned. Let's go ahead and jump in to some of today's market update, taking a look at some of the major currency pairs. Let's start with euro dollar guys here and see if we can find something interesting on the chart. Potential trade setups, potential ideas or levels that we want to watch in the market. We're going to get into that and see what we've talked about here in the last couple days. One thing I wanted to point out here going forward on euro dollar, as you can see, if I draw these two trend lines about a week or so ago, I talked about this kind of major level here. Now what you can see is that we talked about the fact that this price was forming kind of a wedge formation. You can see price finding higher lows and lower highs, right? So price kind of forming this wedge formation, and finally we did get a major break of structure. You can see price did roll over there and make a move down to these recent lows where we did find some temporary level of support here. Euro dollar coming down real hard with the ECB stuff going on right now. Watching that from a technical perspective to see what kind of movements we can get. Potentially we see some opportunity down in these lows. Now what you can see is if I draw this level here and if I back it up to the daily time frame, what you'll see is that this level here is a major significant level of support in historical movements back to this level. You can see price did bounce from here and as well as here, and now we are potentially here in this area again. We did see an immediate reaction to this area. You can see price came down into this zone, found buyer support and moved up maybe even up to 50 pips or so from that zone. Now we're currently testing it again to see if that can potentially make a move higher. But again, that break up structure of this wedge formation was key. You could have caught a potential breakout trade to the low side here just based off of that concept if you liked the trade setup yourself. So again, going forward on euro dollar here, you can see again major structure level of support right now. Potentially we see some sort of further reaction from this level here on euro dollar. Let's go ahead and jump in guys to pound dollar because I think we have some really interesting stuff that I do want to follow up with here on pound dollar from our last conversation, which was talking about the fact that we have entered an interesting little scenario in the terms of we've kind of entered a choppy market environment back and forth here on pound dollar. If I pull up my sketch pad for a moment, what you can see is price was in the process of making lower lows and kind of bearishly moving to the downside as we had seen in many weeks past. But we actually entered kind of an interesting scenario, traders, because we see price now trading back and forth. You can see we're finding resistance up in this area here, as well as support down in kind of these lower regions of support in this area down here. So finding that interesting because now we are currently testing this low again. And the question is, will we see some sort of bounce? I think if you're looking for some sort of confirmation, maybe some sort of hammer candlestick pattern, bullish engulfing, some sort of setup like that, in confluence with your trade might give you a better opportunity to potentially look to go long here if you like the trade setup yourself. Of course, let's go ahead and move on to USD JPY, which we did get a nice movement to the upside here, especially during kind of the last several hours here. You can see we did get a major move to the upside on the 1 hour time frame. Currently looking at the 4 hour time frame. Now we had some bearish kind of sell structure here, but we did break through that. You can see price made a major move and broke through that level of resistance. You can see the trend line here forming lower highs along the way, but price actually did break and close above it, which gave a nice little entry potential for people who wanted to get long. Buying that breakout, you can see price did rally from there. From that trend line, we're up even potentially up about 86 pips or so, which is definitely significant there on USD JPY. Now I do want to say that we have some structural levels to look out for, which is going to be this level here. If I make this pink, you can see that this area here as a potential level of a little bit longer term levels of resistance. So as price potentially trades its way up there, we may find trouble for buyers here in this area as price goes forward to have a struggle kind of breaking through that level if you are a bull, just because that has been historically a major level of significant resistance. Brent crude oil is the next one I want to take a look at with you guys. And if I look at it on the daily perspective, you can see we do have some bearish structure here kind of playing out right now. Now, of course, we are in the context of kind of a pullback. You can see if I draw my fibs, I'm not sure if this is going to, well, you can see we did bounce off of that 61.8% retracement level back here a while ago. You can see price made a major move, pulled back to that area of support, found buyer support, and now we are currently looking to see if we can get some sort of continuation on the long side. But right now it's looking pretty bearish as on the 4-hour time frame and on the daily time frame, you know, kind of we're seeing that bearish structure here as sellers control this market and form lower highs along the way. Looking potentially, if we do start to see a dip to the downside, we may want to potentially head down and test this recent level of support. Now, a lot of times the market, guys, is going to want to kind of test zones that make sense, right? So as this market starts to kind of make a move lower, we may see prices want to find or retest this area down here to see if there's any sort of significant. You can see we had a multiple bottom there before rallying from there, so it's a potentially very bullish area if price can pull back to that area. And also in reference to that same concept, we want to talk about some major levels of potential resistance. If we do make a move up to this area here, guys, I think we may see some sort of seller action as that could potentially form some sort of triple top. Let's go ahead and take a look at WTI crude here. Not too different of a story. You can see again kind of some bearish structure on a little bit on the short term with some, you know, kind of we had some bullish spike, we had a reversal, we found a pullback zone, and now seeing some bullish response. However, it is looking relatively weak here as we have consolidated here and price has not been able to break and close above this level of trend line. Again, we'll have to see how it goes going forward. Potentially, if we can see a break and close above, we may find bulls step into this market and continue to buy up this market. Let's go ahead and take a look at gold, guys, here. A definitely interesting market to look at right now. You can see we are actually forming some sort of a, you know, kind of nice little trend line here as buyers have been stepping in and buying this pullback here multiple times along the way. You can see right around here and here and here. Now potentially is the question, are we going to see another break to the high side on gold as sellers are coming into kind of conflict with this level of trend line? So we will see if price can break above. Potentially what we want to see, you could wait for something like a bullish engulfing candle right around this area. So if we saw something like that, that might be a little good factor to take a trade potentially on if you like that setup. You can see we do kind of have somewhat of a bullish engulfing, but a little bit more confirmation of potential upside may be, you know, advisable before potentially taking a trade. Of course, up to you how you trade. Nobody's telling you how to trade, but we are just simply doing educational analysis here on the channel. So let's go ahead and continue on with USD CAD. This is one that I want to look at here. You can see overall, even on the daily time frame, we have seen some significant level of resistance, but I actually do want to take a look at the daily because I think we have some interesting concepts here. Now notice this level right around this area here, as well as this area right here. What you can see is that in this area, we've had multiple reactions to kind of price reaching this area. So you can see as price came up into this zone or down into the zone, we found buyer support. Then, you know, now potentially as this price comes up into this area, we may see seller reaction. So if we go ahead and draw a Fibonacci retracement all across the way, what you see here is right around that 50% retracement as well as that 38.2 retracement. If I just zoom in just a little bit here, going forward on this chart, if I pull up my sketchpad, what you can see here is along that 38.2 as well as that 50% retracement, we have some significant levels of resistance that also line up nicely with those Fibonacci levels. So again, the 50% retracement lining up really nice with this level here, and that 38.2% level retracing right around that significant gap open that found really strong bullish support. So potentially going to look to see if price can get some sort of reaction as sellers potentially will be waiting in this area as buyers continue to push price higher into that level. So looking to see what kind of stuff sets up there on those two major levels that I see here on USD CAD. Let's take a look at pound yen, guys, as price is respecting kind of this trend line here in an interesting way. So again, if I draw this trend line here, you can see we did get a break above this level here and actually retested and found buyers in this area again. So again, looking at this trend line, I know it's not drawn perfectly, so bear with me here, but you can see as price was in a downtrend, we did kind of find seller resistance along the way, up towards the top there as well. And you can see as price broke through this, now it's potentially, and we saw this play out, find buyer support on the retest. And so looking forward here on GBP JPY, the question is, can this continue? And again, if I draw this trend line, bear with me, I know it's not a perfect trend line, but you can see we do kind of have this counter trend forming as a new potential trend is forming on GBP JPY to the upside. So if price can come down to this area, if we find some sort of confirmation or reason that we like to trade this, we could find buyers breaking high. Now, one more thing that I do want to mention on this, guys, on GBP JPY, take a look left, you can see the market's leaving a potential clue with this area here. So as price comes into this area, you can see price coming into this green zone, which has been a significant price action reversal level historically. So looking for a potential trade there in combination with that, as well as this trend line here. So finally, let's take a look at Euro Aussie. I do have an interesting topic that I just want to cover here on this currency pair, and that is, you can see here, price is currently breaking out of a very strong trend line that we have seen playing out for quite some time. With that said, Euro pairs are making a very bullish move recently, and as price was selling off in these areas, you can see price got rejected here as price is now currently floating above that level and may find a continuation. Where to, you may ask? Well, we have some significant levels. If we look left, you can see that area is interesting, as well as this one as well, as potential targets, or at least if you're long, potential ideas to look for take profits, or if you're looking to short, you may consider finding a trade in those areas if you like the setup. Guys, I hope you enjoyed this market update. Thanks very much for joining me, and we will catch you on the next one.